Download this code from codegive.com, link in the description below. Elegant API versioning in ASP.NET Core Web API, a comprehensive guide. API versioning is a crucial aspect of building robust and maintainable web APIs. It allows you to evolve your API without breaking existing client applications that rely on older versions. A well-implemented versioning strategy provides a smooth migration path for your users. This tutorial will guide you through various techniques for API versioning in ASP.NET Core, focusing on elegance and best practices. Why is API versioning important? Backward compatibility. New features and changes might introduce breaking changes. Versioning allows existing clients to continue using older versions while new clients can adopt the latest version. Evolution. APIs should evolve to meet changing business needs. Versioning provides a way to release new versions without disrupting existing clients. Maintenance. Older versions of your API might require security patches or bug fixes without altering the behavior of the latest version. Client control. Versioning gives clients the freedom to upgrade to newer versions when they are ready and have tested their applications. Versioning strategies in ASP.NET Core. ASP.NET Core offers several ways to implement API versioning. We'll explore the most common and recommended approaches. 1. URI versioning, recommended. 2. Header versioning, less common but supported. 3. Query string versioning, not recommended. 4. Media type versioning, less common but supported. We'll primarily focus on URI versioning, as it's generally considered the most elegant and restful approach. We'll also cover header versioning as an alternative. 1. URI versioning. This is the most widely recommended strategy because it clearly indicates the version of the API in the URL. It's explicit, easy to understand, and allows clients to easily identify the version they're using. Implementation steps. Install the Microsoft.ASP.NET Core.MVC.versioning package. This package provides the necessary components for API versioning and API Explorer, for OpenAPI/Swagger generation. B. Configure API versioning services in program.cs*. Explanation of program.cs configuration. Add API versioning. This method registers the API versioning services. Default API version. Sets the default API version if the client doesn't specify one. Assume default version when unspecified. If true, the default version is assumed if the client doesn't provide a version. Setting it to false will result in an error if no version is provided. Report API versions. Adds the API supported versions and API deprecated versions headers to the response. This helps clients discover the supported versions. API version reader. Specifies how the API version is read from the request. URL segment. API version reader reads the version from the root. Other options include header API version reader, query string API version reader, and media type API version reader. Add versioned API Explorer. This allows the generation of OpenAPI, Swagger, documents for each API version. Group name format. Defines the format for the API version in the Swagger UI, example v1, v2. Substitute API version in URL. Replaces the version placeholder in root templates with the actual version number. Add Swagger gen. Configures Swagger to generate separate documents for each API version. It creates different Swagger definitions based on your API versioning setup. See Create API controllers. Here's how to define versioned controllers using attributes. Version 1 controller, v1. Version 2 controller, v2. Explanation of the controller code asterisk. Asterisk API version, 1.0, and API version, 2.0, asterisk these attributes specify the API version, s, that the controller handles. You can specify multiple versions for a controller to support multiple versions from a single implementation. Asterisk root, API/v version API version/products, asterisk this defines the root pattern, incorporating the version parameter. Asterisk version API version, this root constraint tells ASP.NET Core that the version segment must match an API version declared using the API version attribute. The API version constraint validates that the supplied value is a valid API version string. D. Running the application asterisk. After building and running your application, you can access the APIs using the following URLs. https://localhost/port/API/v1/products, version 1. https://localhost/port/API/v2/products, version 2. You'll also see separate Swagger documents for each version in the Swagger UI. E. Controller without version, optional. If you want to create a controller that is not versioned and available for all API versions, you can omit the API version attribute and use a generic root. This controller will be accessible via the URL https://localhost/port/API/non-versioned. 2. Header versioning. Header versioning places the API version information in the HTTP request header. While not as common as URI versioning, it's still a valid approach. Implementation steps asterisk. A. Configure API versioning services, in program.cs. Update the API version reader to use header API version reader. This tells the API versioning system to look for the API version in the XAPI version header. You can choose any header name. B. Create API controllers asterisk. Modify the root attribute to not include the version segment. C. Make requests asterisk. When making requests, you'll need to add the XAPI version header with the desired version. Asterisk version 1 asterisk XAPI version 1.0. Asterisk version 2 asterisk XAPI version 2.0. The URL would be https://localhostport/API/products for both versions. The version is now determined by the header. 3. Query string versioning, not recommended. This approach puts the API version in the query string, like this, https://localhostport/API/products, API version equals 1.0. While it's technically possible, it's generally discouraged because it makes the URL less readable. It can interfere with other query string parameters. It's not as RESTful as URI versioning. Implementation, brief. 1. Set options.API version reader equals new query string API version reader, API version, in program.cs. 2. Keep the roots without the version segment, like header versioning. 4. Media type versioning, less common but supported. Media type versioning uses the accept header to specify the desired API version. It's less common, but it can be useful in some scenarios. You define different media types, example application/vnd.myappy.v1 plus JSON, application/vnd.myappy.v2 plus JSON, and handle them in your controllers. Implementation, brief. 1. Set options.API version reader equals new media type API version reader, in program.cs. To use the consumes attribute in your controllers to specify the supported media types. Versioning best practices asterisk. Asterisk be consistent asterisk choose one versioning strategy and stick to it across your entire API. Don't mix URI, header, and query string versioning. Asterisk deprecation asterisk when you introduce a new version, clearly mark older versions as deprecated. You can use the obsolete attribute in your code and return appropriate HTTP headers to inform clients. The API deprecated versions response header, when report API versions is enabled, also helps with this. Asterisk graceful migration asterisk provide documentation and tooling to help clients migrate from older versions to newer versions. Consider providing a compatibility layer or transformation services. Asterisk keep versions short-lived asterisk don't support old versions indefinitely. Establish a clear policy for deprecating and removing older versions. Asterisk semantic versioning, SEMver consider using semantic versioning, major.minor.patch, to communicate the level of changes in each version. Asterisk document your API asterisk use Swagger/Open API to document your API versions clearly. This makes it easier for clients to understand the available versions and how to use them. Code example, complete, URI versioning. Here's a complete example that you can copy and paste to try out URI versioning. Create a new ASP.NET Core Web API project and replace the contents of program.cs, controllers/products v1 controller.cs, and controllers/products v2 controller.cs with this code. Run the application, and you should be able to access the API versions using the URLs mentioned earlier. You'll also see separate Swagger endpoints for each version. Conclusion asterisk. API versioning is essential for building maintainable and evolvable web APIs. The URI versioning strategy is generally the most elegant and recommended approach. Remember to choose a consistent strategy, document your API versions clearly, and provide a smooth migration path for your clients. By following these guidelines, you can ensure that your API can evolve without breaking existing client applications. Remember to also consider error handling. If a client requests an unsupported version, return an appropriate error code, example 400 bad request, with a helpful message.